In the heat of the moment, another Masahito suddenly appears and stabs Ushio's shadow, then slashes her with a spear. Shinpei, overcome with rage, shoots at Masahito 3 times. Black mud surrounds Masahito, transforming him into Shidei. Shidei then hurls the spear at Shinpei, hitting him in the chest. He remarks that with Ushio's death, he can only move forward with despair and regret. Shinpei wakes up alone and starts crying, realizing he has looped back without Ushio. He calls Hizuru, informing her of Ushio's death, and suggests they regroup at the northeastern island of Torajima, which can only be accessed during low tide. Unbeknownst to him, it was actually Shadow Shinpei with Masahito who called Hizuru. Returning to Kofuan's restaurant, Shinpei learns from Alan that Sue and Mio went to meet him 30 minutes ago. He hears a voice and checks his room to find Shadow Mio pinned to the ground. Shadow Mio shares her memory, revealing that Mio pinned her down, fearing her hacking might be undone since Ushio died. Shinpei receives a call from Hizuru's phone, but it's actually Heine, transformed as him. Heine tells Shinpei that they are at Torajima, while Mio is at Alan's garden, forcing Shinpei to choose who to save. Earlier, Mio and Sue went to Alan's garden and encountered Masahito, who transformed into Shidei. Meanwhile, Hizuru's group was observing Torajima. Hizuru decided to go alone to the island, asking Nezu to cover her with his rifle. Ryunosuke headed to Torajima and saw Shinpei but sensed Heine's presence. Masahito appeared behind her, but Ryunosuke dodged his spear. Masahito showed a black ball of mud made from former shadows, which he could control to transform into Shidei. During their fight, Shidei broke Ryunosuke's hammer, but Ryunosuke took Shidei's spear and attacked repeatedly. However, Shidei regenerated each time. Hizuru noted that Shidei's armor was essentially a void that Ryunosuke could invade. She touched Shidei's head, sending Ryunosuke into him, where he formed his own shadow, revealing Masahito. Hizuru exceeded her physical limit and began to fall, but Tokiko arrived just in time, grabbing her and attacking Shidi with the stray shadows. Meanwhile, Shinpei and Shadow Mio faced Masahito. Masahito urged Mio to kill Shinpei so he could loop again, warning they would be late otherwise. Instead, Mio beheaded Masahito, who then stated they would meet again in the next loop. Tragically, Mio and Sue were then eaten by Heine, and Shadow Mio sensed it, telling Shinpei that Mio had just died. Desperate, Shinpei instructed Shadow Mio to scan Masahito's memories. She did, but found him empty, with no memories to uncover. Mio sensed something strange and called Shinpei to follow her. They found Tokiko, barely alive. As she lay dying, Tokiko told Shinpei to go to Torajima and save Ryunosuke, who was fighting Shidei. Shinpei guessed that Hizuru and Ryunosuke were already dead. He believed that if he looped now, he could still save everyone about 30 minutes into the 9th loop. Shinpei and Shadow Mio used the sewers and managed to intercept Sue and Mio, stopping them. Shinpei instructed them to return to Kofuan, while he and Shadow Mio went to Torajima. They arrived just as Tokiko attacked with one of the stray shadows. However, Shidei instantly killed the stray shadow. Shinpei joined the fight and saw Hizuru defeated, with a spear piercing her chest. Heine saw Ushio in Shinpei's pocket and decided to retreat, feeling outnumbered. Hizuru was barely alive. Seeing this, Shinpei grabbed Tetsu's gun, intending to loop back, but Hizuru told him it was too late, and Mio stopped him. Hizuru pulled Shinpei close and revealed that Shidei's goal was different. She suspected Heine was being used by Shidei. She asked Shinpei to save Heine, and he agreed. Before she died, Hizuru transferred Ryunosuke into Shinpei, entrusting him with her brother. Shadow Mio asked Shinpei what was in his pocket. Shinpei took out Ushio's shell necklace, believing it was a fragment of Ushio. Mio was sure that Ushio's memories were inside, transferred before she disappeared. Shinpei realized that Ushio was coming back. A version of her with no memory should appear at the beach during the festival. She could scan the necklace to restore her memories. They determined where Ushio's body should be. Shinpei, inside Tokiko's stray shadow, headed towards Ushio in the sea. Shide and other stray shadows searched everywhere, eventually finding the stray shadow that ignored them. They got close to Ushio as she started to awaken. The stray shadow grabbed her, and they flew out of the water. Shide attacked the stray shadow. Ushio and Shinpei started falling, and Shinpei gave her the necklace, which started to shine. Shide attacked them, but Ushio recovered her memories and cut through Shide's attacks. Ushio returned and attacked the shadows. Shide noticed his armor wasn't recovering and realized Ushio had evolved again, hacking him the moment her hair touched him. Shinpei asked Shide if he knew where he came from. As Shide was unaware, Shinpei guessed the handprint couldn't track him while he was in the stray shadow. He then placed a gun to his head, intending to restart the loop. Shinpei and Ushio looped back, emerging from the stray shadow into the Haruko cave. Heine quickly realizes their location. As they head towards Heine's main body, Shinpei is sure that Heine will focus on them and leave the surface alone until they are dealt with. Tokiko controls the stray and creates a barrier from the cave debris, telling the group to go on without her while she stays to fight the shadow. Shinpei's group reaches a black wall made of black mud. Shinpei had planned for this, having asked Mio to copy some fireworks. He calls Mio, telling her they will blow up the wall. After the explosion, the group proceeds as the wall starts to close. Shinpei spots Shide and alerts Nezu. They start shooting at Shide, and as the wall nearly closes, Shide manages to get his head inside. Nezu insists Shinpei continue without him. Shide attacks from above, but Ushio spins her hair to create a protective barrier. Heine appears, sensing Ryunosuke within Shinpei. She also senses Mio behind her and dodges, but Su appears and shoots a nail gun at her shadow. Mio slashes Heine, and while Heine tries to warn Shide of the next seconds, Ushio punches Shide, smashing his head. Another Shide appears as Ushio heads towards Heine's main body and punches it, dissolving Shide's mud armor. Mio quickly stabs Shide in the head, saying that if Heine dies, so will she, and she begins to disappear. Shinpei notices Ushio's right eye has turned red. Mio, still alive, concludes that Heine must be alive too, and that Ushio held back. Another Shide appears. Seeing Haruko turning into a small baby, Shide realizes he can't let Haruko die, or his mud armor will disappear. He decides to take her with him. Noticing Ushio's eye, he plans to steal it to fulfill his wish. He splits Haruko in half and opens a dimensional portal, which Shinpei and Ushio enter before it closes. Shinpei wakes up in Heine's world and starts searching for Ushio. He follows a glowing ball that leads him to a group of shadows, which then disappear, revealing Ushio in the center. Ushio feels unwell, and Heine emerges from her. Ryunosuke prepares to shoot, but Shinpei stops him. Ushio reassures them she is fine and explains that this Heine is not the one who killed Ryunosuke. She reveals that Heine's personality split into the human girl Heine and Haruko. Ushio also shares that she read Shide's mind and discovered his plan to destroy the world, like turning off a game. An air raid suddenly begins, and Ushio shields them from the bombing. Shinpei realizes that if Heine plans to take the eye and return to the real world, there must be a way for them to return as well, but they need to erase Shide's armor. Heine suppresses the memory and stops time. Ushio heads up to the plains where Shide is. She jumps on his plane and slices him up, but realizes there is no one inside him. Shide attacks her, leaving only her legs and eye behind. As he reaches for the eye, Ushio eats a fragment of a child Ushio and regains her child form, taking back her eye. She then jumps and touches Haruko, hacking her and erasing the air raid memory. As they fall, Ushio contacts Shinpei and informs him that Shide's real body is in the real world, controlling his armor remotely through Haruko. Ushio awakens and states she can print hacking shells for the shotgun, but it will take 2 minutes, and they need to survive until then. As they fight, Ryunosuke manages to dodge Shide's attacks and eventually touches him, taking control over the armor. Without Ryunosuke's suppression, Shinpei almost passes out from feeling all the pain. Ushio prepares shotgun shells, but Shide isolates Ryunosuke in a piece of mud and regains control of his armor. Ushio prints shotgun shells for herself and tells Shinpei she's ready. He runs towards the shotgun as Shide attacks him. Shide is faster, but Haine moves the shotgun towards Shinpei, allowing him to grab it. He dodges Shide and shoots him. As Shide gets erased, he panics in the real world, unable to move or see without the armor. Ushio returns to normal and takes Haruko, who is in pain. She tells Haruko she will erase her pain and starts the process. Suddenly, they are all transferred to Hitogashima, the human world 300 years ago. They see a whale on the beach, and the human Heine approaching it. Ryunosuke realizes that Haruko is trying to transfer her data into her past self to start over. He tries to stop the human Heine, but she goes past him. Shinpei grabs her hand and tells her not to approach the god, causing Heine to panic and run away, thinking she's seeing a ghost. Ushio gives Haruko to Shinpei and approaches the whale. She explains that she understands now, and Haruko is telling her she needs to erase the whale, or things will play out exactly the same. Despite Haruko's tears, Ushio erases the whale. Haruko calms down and disappears, and Heine also begins to disappear, thanking them before completely vanishing. Ushio reveals that she has figured out how to transcend time and decides to overcome the loops and redraw the summer. She leaves a message on the phone and takes Shinpei to the boat when he arrives at Hitogashima, telling him to find her. Shinpei wakes up, bumping into Hizuru at the boat. He disembarks and feels a sense of déjà vu, wondering how he knew that Hizuru was Ryunosuke. He sees Mio approaching on a bike and prepares to stop her from falling into the sea, but she brakes and stops safely. Shinpei wonders why he came back and realizes he was worried about them. Su explains that he had called Shinpei the day before, warning him that Ushio would beat him up if he didn't come. While heading to Kofuan, Ushio spots them and rushes to punch Shinpei, but stops her fist. Shinpei then heads to the Hito Shrine, where he meets Karakuri, who introduces him to his son, Yamato. Yamato mentions that Ushio lost her pendant on the beach recently and had been searching for it for days. At the beach, Shinpei finds the seashell pendant and returns it to Ushio. She explains she lost it 2 days ago while cleaning the beach, and Shinpei puts it back around her neck. Ryunosuke arrives with his wife Asako and his daughters, Shiori and Haine. Haine thanks Hizuru for her birthday present and mentions that tomorrow is Ushio's birthday. After the festival, Shinpei meets Ushio at the beach and buys her takoyaki as she requested. They both remember a moment when Shinpei promised to buy her 10 or 100 takoyaki when she was sneaking into the shadows-only door in the old hospital. The next day, everyone celebrates Ushio's 18th birthday. And that's the end of the video. Now, let me know your opinion about the story down in the comments. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next story.